I'm Kevin Hadduck, a poet living here in Helena, Montana. I want to read today a set of poems in response to the Great Return March that Palestinians began in Gaza on March 30th of this year. Those marches have continued primarily on Fridays to this day. And in the beginning, they were peaceful. For some weeks, they remained peaceful. The Israeli response from the beginning, however, has involved lethality. In most recent weeks, one of the casualties, if you will, was a building, a cultural center. So I want to introduce my poems by reading a poem about that building. And there is some note of irony and sarcasm in the poem. Carnage at the Saeed al-Mishal, Gaza, August 8th, 2018. Hamas had to stockpile there, perhaps, or 3 Hamas leaders shared a table and tea at the Saeed al-Mishal Institute for Culture and the Arts. The library, the theater, the Egyptian Gazan wives who gathered there to share their recipes for coping, all made of paper mache, apparently, mere decoys. In the office, a secretary, slow to hear the phone, took a message. Greetings from your Israeli neighbor, the IDF. You are advised to clear the building. You have 3 minutes. Alhamdulillah, friend, and salam. And then the stately edifice with cream facade and brown mansard roof burst apart. The Saeed al-Mishal Institute of Culture and the Arts. Amidst the jettisons of block and chair and window glass from a score of homes, discordant cries of children, shouts of men, car horns, sirens confirm that the message was received. The cultural building our jets destroyed was a military post, a dire threat. The people in it were not real. The culture was not real. IDF 8, 2018. Why the dozen rockets? Did they calculate the odds of more lost families and little girls, their fathers and their pregnant mothers? Yes, indeed, they fear your rockets, mortars, rifles, kites, slingshots, stones. They fear far more your grieving eyes, and even more the Saeed al-Mishal Institute of Culture and the Arts. This next poem is for Da, a Gazan, and I call it Hurricane. The reverent heart, at peace within herself, may sit along the seashore, tracing with a finger in Gaza's coral sand her longing, her anguished sobbing, her deep rage. Behind her, remembered and felt, lies the rubble of 2 million hearts broken, but still standing, waiting for a voice to give them voice. The reverent heart may yet articulate her sobbing and her rage, sing her longing for broken hearts, write, speak, raise a joyful fist, and fight, while yet at peace within herself. And for another Gazan friend named Tarnim. Judgment. You stand 1.5 meters, slim and sculpted like a vase. If you passed with lowered gaze, your coy, ready smile might chaff a boy who took you for a child. Yet craven men have hedged you in, who fear your judgment for their sin. The fear that tears their hearts is wild. They fear your bold and steady pace. They hem you in with razor wire and hope the siege will halt your fire. In truth, Tarnim, they fear your face, as fire that taunts their dreams is in your eyes, a thunderbolt from Allah's darkening skies. At this point, since March 30th, the most recent numbers that I've received from news agencies within Gaza and outside of Gaza are that there have been now approximately 170 deaths from sniper fire and about 6,000 injuries from sniper fire. So this is called Sniper. Gaza, March of Return, 2018. At 700 meters, the image remains picture-like, alien, with no voice. A bullet is the fine point of a rebuttal to a remote argument. At 500 meters, the image gestures wildly in its silence. A bullet will erase the troubling lines of a face, the widening of its eyes. At 300 meters, the image has a faint voice, but no language. A bullet will prevent words forming in the ear. At 100 meters, fire, goddammit! The bullet prevents the odor of sweat, a recognition of eye color, the blush in his face of pride and despair, and answers smartly, the stone the boy threw. On a somewhat more philosophical note, every one of us is one of us. I want teeming oceans, deep forested ranges, not to separate, but to define us, each one of us a world of vast seas, doomed deserts, sightless steppes, snowy peaks, and jungled river valleys. How we could then revere, explore in awe each the other, and discover through the years, with every expedition in, that every change of seasons, every rise and set of sun creates, as if a whole new world. Instead, unawed, one of us kills one of us, and every one of us is one of us, and two whole worlds of worlds die unexplored. And for another friend in Gaza, her name is Rana, and the word Imra'a means woman. So Rana Imra'a, spring 2018. I'll pause and say she has 3 children, a husband and 3 children, triplets, all 13 years old as of a few weeks ago. Rana, search the wardrobe of your heart for words that suit you. What will you define yourself with? Consider an embroidered thobe from your ancient inheritance, or an azure flowing abaya from an evening in the city, or the checkered kafia of a determined warrior. Home again from a Friday march, you sit with your children, Raina, rinsing tear gas from your eyes, from their eyes, recalling with them your fear, your pride, your hope. You teach them how a beautiful life, in all of its suffering, its yearning, and its loving, plays out in increments like tatris, one darza at a time. Their eyes flicker at your deep gaze. It is for their quavering hearts that you stitch their days together with the words of your stories, your instruction, and your prayers. Someday, not far beyond these days of their youthful impatience, Imra'a, they will search their wardrobes for patterns of hope you stitched for them. This next poem is for an American friend named Pam, Pam Bailey. She works out of Washington, D.C. and is the director of We Are Not Numbers, the organization that I work with as a mentor and board member. We mentor young Palestinian writers. In the title and in the poem, I used the French word retrouvaille, which means a reunion of friends or a new self-discovery or discovery of yourself. And it's called Retrouvaille Ein el Hilwa. A perfect love casts out all fear. 1. At the gates of Ein el Hilwa, she wanted in, that is all, just in, to see a friend. The burly uniforms bearing rifles scoffed. What she wanted, she would have. That is all. They saw correctly, had they known, a Tinkerbell. So she sat down, all childlike and petulant, with downright Amazonian intent, mid-street, just waiting for some evidence of manhood to fill those empty uniforms, and let her in. They let her in. 2. Retrovale in Alhambra. Alhambra is a district in Beirut. We walked along the streets of Amra, looking, turning. She began to worry, yet not. She would find them, that is all. For this I walked the boiling streets of Amra while dodging motorbikes and taxicabs. This love of hers, downright beatific. We found the open hearts she knew so well, waiting in a classroom, hoping, and again, they let her in. Pam and I conducted writing workshops in Beirut a year ago this summer, and that poem really has very much to do with our experience of walking through the streets of Beirut trying to find a particular building where we would conduct these workshops. And our Palestinian friends then were waiting for us when we finally found the building and found the room. This next poem, these next two poems are for a Syrian refugee friend who lives in the northern part of Lebanon. And they're trying to get out of Lebanon, but finding it very, very difficult for a variety of reasons to escape Lebanon now that they've escaped Syria. This poem is called A Psalm for Refugees. For Dalia and Abdullah, Syria, Lebanon. Let aliens inherit the earth, poor, reviled, homeless beings, probing and violating our borders. Let us hunger and thirst with them for righteousness. Then all will be fed, for they too are the children of God. Let aliens, pleading for mercy, know the full comfort of our justice as family, that we too may obtain mercy. Let us live in peace among aliens, or they whose suffering God has seen will inherit the kingdom of heaven without us. The title of this next poem I get from conversations with Dalia. She has said, "We are alive, but dead." My poem, "We are alive, but dead," for Dalia, Syria, Lebanon. Hope begins as a hand reaching for something, then for anything, then for nothing at all, until the empty hand is too heavy for the arm. Where are my flowers dangling over the fence, the smell of jasmine, the gate to my garden? Hope begins as old shoes, flopping as the feet run, becoming bare feet, plodding along a path, and then only stones and briars or mud, until fog buries everything. I am turning round and round and round, returning to the same point. Hope begins as a heart outrunning the smell of artillery shells, hearing its own rhythm as if in a dream of emptiness and dark, waiting for an impossible song. I am asking and answering myself, I don't know where I am. This sky is not my sky. These are not my people. Hope ends as a hand fixing a bowl of soup, combing a child's hair, stroking a man's wet cheek, placing a bouquet of flowers on a stranger's windowsill, and remembering the rhythm of a song from childhood. This last poem is a very short piece, and it's somewhat philosophical. It doesn't address any particular political situation or social situation directly. It's a piece of my own thinking about how almost anywhere in the world, the one thing that oppressive governmental, political, social structures will not tolerate is love. In our lust for power, we respond to love as if it's a toxin. And so I call this poem Zombic Irony. Love's agonizing poison eats away the grandest empires of the world. A ricin dose will topple fortresses. This rare, unstable brew, this elixir of mind, heart, gut, and hand corrodes and gnaws until the solid, brittle, cold stone hearts of this undead world are broken, crushed, warmed, and healed. Thank you.